There is a difficult truth that many people spend years trying to avoid. No matter how kind, honest, generous, or hardworking you become, there will always be some people who never truly like you. This realization can feel painful because human beings naturally desire acceptance. We want to believe that if we treat everyone well, everyone will eventually appreciate us. Yet life rarely works that way. Not every opinion about you is based on who you truly are because people rarely see the world exactly as it is. Instead, they interpret it through their own experiences, beliefs, expectations, and emotions. Two individuals can meet the same person, witness the same behavior, and still form completely different conclusions. One may see confidence while another sees arrogance. One may admire independence while another mistakes it for coldness. These differences are not always caused by your actions. They are often shaped by the unique perspective of the observer. Human nature naturally relies on past experiences to make quick judgments. If someone has been betrayed before, they may become suspicious of genuine kindness. If they have struggled with insecurity, they may interpret another person's success as a threat rather than an inspiration. If they expect everyone to behave according to their own standards, they may misunderstand anyone who thinks differently. This does not mean that every criticism should be ignored. Honest feedback can reveal blind spots, encourage growth, and strengthen character. The challenge is learning to separate constructive observations from opinions that are primarily influenced by another person's emotions or assumptions. Many people waste years trying to change minds that were never formed through careful understanding in the first place. They explain themselves repeatedly, seek approval from those who have already decided how they wish to see them, and slowly lose confidence because they believe every negative opinion reflects reality. True emotional maturity begins when you realize that your responsibility is not to control every perception, but to remain faithful to your values and your character. Human psychology is complex, and no amount of kindness or effort can guarantee universal acceptance. Some people will appreciate your honesty, while others may feel uncomfortable because it challenges their expectations. Some will respect your boundaries, while others may interpret them as rejection. These reactions belong to them as much as they belong to you. Your task is to continue acting with integrity, regardless of changing opinions. When your actions consistently reflect honesty, respect, and responsibility, your confidence becomes rooted in your character rather than in public approval. Over time, this understanding frees you from the exhausting habit of trying to satisfy everyone. You become more focused on living authentically, learning from valuable feedback, and allowing your actions to speak for themselves. By recognizing that not every opinion is based on who you truly are, you protect your peace, strengthen your self-respect, and gain the confidence to live according to your principles instead of constantly chasing acceptance from every person you meet. Insecurity often shapes the way people judge others far more than most people realize. Human nature has a tendency to compare. From an early age, people measure themselves against the achievements, appearance, confidence, and success of those around them. While comparison can sometimes inspire growth, it can also create feelings of inadequacy when someone believes they are falling behind. Instead of confronting those uncomfortable emotions, some people project them onto others. They criticize confidence because it reminds them of their own self-doubt. They dismiss another person's achievements because acknowledging them would force them to face their own lack of effort. They question someone's character not because there is clear evidence, but because it feels easier than examining their own insecurities. This is why two people can respond very differently to the same individual. One sees inspiration while another sees competition. One admires discipline while another labels it arrogance. The difference often reflects the emotional state of the observer rather than the true character of the person being observed. Understanding this changes the way you interpret rejection and criticism. Instead of immediately assuming that every negative opinion reveals something flawed about you, you begin asking whether that judgment is influenced by factors you cannot control. This does not mean believing you are always right or ignoring valuable feedback. Honest criticism remains essential because it helps you grow and recognize areas where improvement is needed. The key is learning to distinguish constructive observations from reactions driven by envy, fear, or unresolved personal struggles. Human psychology is deeply influenced by emotion, and people often see what they expect to see rather than what is actually present. Someone carrying resentment may interpret neutral behavior as disrespect. Someone struggling with low self-esteem may view another person's confidence as an attack instead of an example. When you understand this, you stop carrying the unnecessary burden of trying to make everyone approve of you. You focus instead on developing your own character, acting with integrity, and treating others with respect regardless of how they choose to see you. Over time, this mindset creates emotional freedom because your confidence no longer depends on changing the opinions of people whose judgments may have little to do with who you truly are. You learn that while you cannot control every perception, you can control your actions, your values, and the consistency with which you live them, allowing your peace to remain stronger than the insecurity or misunderstanding of others. One of the most liberating decisions you can make is to stop chasing acceptance from people who have already decided how they want to see you. Human nature naturally longs for approval because acceptance provides a sense of belonging and security. When someone dislikes you, misunderstands your intentions, or judges you unfairly, the instinct is often to explain yourself, work harder to earn their respect, or prove that their opinion is wrong. At first, this seems reasonable, but there comes a point when these efforts stop being healthy and become emotionally exhausting. Some opinions are not formed through careful observation or genuine understanding. They are shaped by personal bias, past experiences, jealousy, insecurity, or assumptions that have little to do with your true character. No amount of explanation can change a mind that has already chosen its conclusion. Continuing to seek approval in these situations only gives more power to people who may never have intended to understand you in the first place. Human psychology teaches us that once people become deeply attached to a belief, they often interpret new information in ways that reinforce what they already think. This means that even your positive actions can be misunderstood if someone is determined to see you negatively. Recognizing this truth does not mean becoming bitter or refusing to listen to constructive criticism. Honest feedback remains valuable because it helps you grow and become wiser. The difference is learning to identify when criticism is offered to help you improve and when it simply reflects another person's fixed perception. Instead of investing your energy in changing every opinion, invest it in strengthening your character, developing your skills, and living according to your values. People who genuinely matter will judge you by your consistent actions over time, not by rumors or first impressions. Relationships become healthier because they are built on mutual respect rather than constant attempts to earn approval. Your confidence also becomes more stable because it is no longer dependent on the changing opinions of others. Over time, you discover that emotional freedom comes from accepting that not everyone will appreciate you, and that is perfectly normal. By refusing to chase acceptance from those who have already made up their minds, you reclaim your time, your energy, and your peace. You stop living as a performer seeking applause and begin living as a person guided by integrity, authenticity, and quiet confidence, allowing your actions to speak louder than endless explanations ever could. Your authenticity will naturally attract some people and repel others because every individual views the world through a unique combination of experiences, beliefs, values, and expectations. Many people spend years trying to create a version of themselves that everyone will like. They adjust their personality depending on who they are with, hide opinions that might create disagreement, and constantly seek approval by becoming whatever others expect them to be. Although this may reduce conflict for a short time, it slowly weakens your sense of identity because you begin living according to other people's preferences instead of your own principles. Human nature often encourages conformity because acceptance feels safer than rejection. However, trying to satisfy everyone is impossible. The qualities that inspire admiration in one person may create discomfort in another. Your honesty may be appreciated by those who value truth, while others may see it as bluntness. Your independence may inspire confident people, but threaten those who rely on control. Your ambition may motivate some, while causing envy in others. These differences are not always a reflection of your character, but of the different perspectives people bring into every interaction. Human psychology shows that people are naturally drawn toward those whose values and personalities align with their own. At the same time, they may feel uncomfortable around qualities that challenge their beliefs or expose their insecurities. This is why authenticity creates both connection and distance. Rather than seeing this as a problem, you can begin recognizing it as a natural part of life. Authenticity does not require you to become stubborn, disrespectful, or unwilling to grow. It simply means expressing your values honestly while remaining open to learning and improving. When you stop pretending to gain acceptance, your relationships become more meaningful because they are built on truth instead of performance. People who genuinely appreciate your character remain, while those who only valued the version of you that constantly sought approval gradually fade away. This process may feel uncomfortable at first, but it creates emotional freedom. Professionally, authenticity builds credibility because your actions consistently reflect your principles. Personally, it strengthens confidence because your self-worth no longer depends on universal approval. Over time, you realize that your goal is not to be liked by everyone, but to live with integrity and attract people who value you for who you truly are. By embracing authenticity, you allow your life to be guided by honesty, purpose, and self-respect, creating deeper relationships and a stronger sense of inner peace that cannot be achieved through pretending to be someone you are not. Protecting your peace instead of trying to change every mind is one of the greatest forms of emotional maturity. Many people believe they must defend themselves against every criticism, correct every misunderstanding, and convince everyone to see them in a positive light. At first, this seems reasonable because human nature naturally seeks fairness and acceptance. When someone judges you incorrectly or questions your intentions, the instinct is often to explain yourself repeatedly until they understand. The problem is that not every person is looking for understanding. Some people have already formed their opinions and are more interested in confirming those beliefs than reconsidering them. Continuing to argue with someone who has no desire to listen only drains your energy while producing very little change. Human psychology shows that people often protect their existing beliefs because changing them requires humility and self-reflection. This means that even clear evidence may fail to persuade someone who has already decided how they wish to see you. Recognizing this truth allows you to stop wasting valuable time trying to control what lies beyond your influence. Instead of becoming trapped in endless explanations, you begin investing your attention in the things you can control: your character, your actions, your habits, and your response to difficult situations. Protecting your peace does not mean ignoring every disagreement or refusing constructive feedback. Honest criticism remains valuable because it helps you improve. The difference is learning to distinguish between conversations that encourage growth and arguments that exist only to create conflict. Relationships become healthier because you stop chasing validation from people who are unwilling to offer genuine respect. You begin appreciating those who communicate honestly while calmly accepting that not everyone will understand you. Professionally, This mindset improves focus because your attention remains directed toward meaningful work instead of constant distractions. Personally, it strengthens resilience because your confidence is no longer controlled by changing opinions. Over time, you discover that inner peace is far more valuable than winning every argument. There is remarkable freedom in accepting that some misunderstandings will never be resolved and that your responsibility is to live with integrity rather than universal approval. By choosing to protect your peace instead of trying to change every mind, you create space for greater clarity, stronger relationships, and lasting confidence. Your energy becomes invested in building a meaningful life instead of defending yourself against every opinion, allowing your calm consistency to become a more powerful statement than any explanation you could ever give. Focusing on becoming your best self rather than trying to be universally liked is one of the most freeing decisions you can make. Many people spend years shaping their words, choices, and behavior around the hope that everyone will approve of them. They avoid expressing honest opinions, suppress their true personality, and constantly adjust themselves to fit the expectations of different people. While this may bring temporary acceptance, it often creates inner conflict because your life becomes directed by the opinions of others instead of your own values. Human nature naturally seeks belonging, but when the desire to be liked becomes stronger than the desire to grow, personal development begins to slow. Every decision is filtered through the question, what will people think? Instead of, is this the right choice for me? This mindset gives other people control over your confidence because your sense of worth depends on their changing opinions. The truth is that universal approval does not exist. No matter how kind, talented, or generous you become, there will always be people who misunderstand you, disagree with you, or simply do not connect with your personality. Accepting this reality is not pessimistic, it is liberating. It allows you to redirect your energy toward becoming wiser, stronger, and more disciplined instead of constantly seeking validation. Human psychology naturally respects people who live with authenticity because they demonstrate consistency between their values and their actions. They are willing to listen to constructive criticism and improve where necessary, but they do not abandon their principles simply to gain popularity. As you focus on your own growth, your confidence becomes rooted in progress rather than praise. Every skill you develop, every habit you improve, and every challenge you overcome becomes evidence that your value comes from your character, not from public opinion. Relationships also become more meaningful because the people who remain in your life appreciate the real person rather than a version created to satisfy everyone. Professionally, this mindset encourages excellence because your motivation is driven by purpose instead of applause. Personally, it creates emotional stability because your peace is no longer threatened by every disagreement or criticism. By choosing to become the best version of yourself instead of trying to be liked by everyone, you build a life guided by integrity, self-respect, and continuous improvement. Over time, you realize that genuine respect is earned through consistent character, while lasting confidence comes from knowing that you stayed true to your values, even when doing so meant not everyone would approve of the path you chose.